What's up, everybody? Captain D is here, and today I'm going to show you how you can win your pre-releases. There's one of two ways that your store will handle their pre-releases. One is to bring your own leader, and two is you're going to be using this multicolored Luffy that has all tags and traits. When it comes to leaders, I think there are three clear-cut choices. For one, there's Zoro, tried and true. Two, the most dominant one, I think, is Kid. And then three, which is a sleeper from this set, is Bonnie. Now Zoro, there's always going to be a lot of tempo when you get 2 or 3 bodies out. Even if they're 5k, if they're 4k bodies, you're going to get extra value because it's an extra 1, 2, 3,000 power each turn that you get to use your leader's ability. In a game where there's not as many 2Ks as, constructed games, the extra 1,000 power goes a long way. Those 5,000 to 6,000 swings can just start clearing lives and just chipping away at your opponent very easily. Number 2, Eustace Kid. Not only are you going to be able to swing twice in the same turn, but it becomes really important to have that supernova tag, but I'll go over that in just a little bit. Similar reason, Bonnie also has a supernova tag, which is very strong, but you're able to rest one of your opponent's characters every single turn. So that means no matter what, you're going to be able to trade your characters into their characters, and they're not going to have much of a board to deal with you on the clapback. Alright, so those are the leaders. Let's break into the cards. So I have 30 cards in this list. These are the 30 most impactful cards for your pre-release. Some of them aren't going to be as impactful for you because I have some of these in there for the multicolored Luffy pre-releases. Let's break these cards down. The main thing that is needed in every single pre-release, 2Ks and blockers every single time. You're gonna want to take every single 2K card that you find in all of your packs, throw that into your deck. I've been a part of pre-releases where I've only found 2 2K counter cards, and then I've been in pre-releases where I found 9, a little more, but there's a big swing when you find more than when you find less. So you always want to take all the 2Ks you find and throw them right in. It's not going to hurt you in this setup. It's only going to benefit you. Number 2, especially if you're running the Kid leader, where you're going to be able to swing multiple times in a turn. You don't even need a board half the time. Number 2, you're going to need blockers, because there are going to be people who run Kid, and they are going to be mad. So let's look at the blockers to see which ones you want to put in your deck. There's a lot of blockers coming out this set. I will say that. Not all of them are great, but a lot of them are pretty good. So let's start down the line. Starting off first, surprisingly, Tanaka-san does make the list. It is a 3/3 blocker. Trigger, play this card. And the trigger is the main reason why you'd want to put this one in your deck. Having a blocker out is extraordinarily good, and getting it off life is even better. Besides it being a trigger, the only benefit it has as being like a chump blocker is it being a 3/3. Because there are a lot of cards that interact with 2-cost blockers or 2-cost cards in the set that'll bounce into your hand or rest it. So 2 is a pretty prominent number in this set right now. So a 3K blocker that can maybe get played for free is a pretty good card. Next is Baccarat. 3/4, similar reasoning with the 3 cost. 3/4, 1K counter on the side, which is helpful. And once per turn, you can ditch a card and it becomes a 2K essentially. So you can ditch a brick that may be in your hand. Maybe you have both these in your hand, and you didn't really want Tanaka-san in your hand. You wanted it off life. So now you can ditch it to be a 2K for the turn. Up next is a Rouge. It's not super impactful in the pre-releases, but it's going to find its way just because you get to set up one Don every turn and it gets to act as a blocker. There's a few decent 1-cost events, counter events that are very good right now. And this will definitely help out, especially late in the game. Caribou. Caribou is not a great blocker. But why is it on the list? There's got to be a reason it's on the list as being a good blocker, if for no other reason, right? No, because it's not on here for Caribou and its ability to possibly be a 4/6 blocker, which is okay, but not good enough to really be like a key card. But Caribou lets you play this for free. So what's good is you get to play Korobu, and then you get to play Caribou off of it. And if you're the Zoro leader, you got 2 bodies out for 3 Dawn. Whether they're swinging into your face or into Caribou because it comes out rested, it's not much of a difference. You could protect it if you wish. You don't have to protect it. It might be a 6 cost body, so it could be a 4/6 while it's rested. So it's pretty good. It has the option, but getting the 2 for 1 is really good, especially in Zoro. So that's the reason why Caribou made the cut, is because it has a cheaper way of being pulled out. A 3/6 blocker is pretty solid. On to the next one, we have Basil Hawkins. Basil Hawkins is only going to be, it's going to be, you know, a sticky card no matter what. But it's only going to be really good having that blocker ability, which only can be used if you're a supernova. So that's the Bonnie leader, and that is the Kid leader. And Basil Hawkins is an extraordinarily difficult card to get past. Being a 6/7 body, really tough to swing over. That is if you get it rested, or if they block with it already. And 2, the once per turn, not being able to be removed from play and resting a character's card is so strong. This card is very good in Bonnie, in normal constructed play, and it's even better in pre-release if you can get off the Bonnie effect with it. And the last 2 blockers are from Blue. The first one is going to be this Ace blocker that almost has a Sabo effect, but in a little different aspect. It's not the protection part of Sabo, but the hand. The cycle from your hand. This allows you to draw 2 cards and then put 2 from your on top or bottom. So what this allows you to do is, once you draw your 2 cards, you can say, wow, I have 5, 7, however many cards you have. I have so many good cards. I don't want to get rid of any. Boom, put 2 on top, and you know, you set up your next 2 turns. Maybe you play Dofi, and you're setting up what you're going to draw next turn, and then the ability after that. Maybe you had a couple dead cards, and you needed to draw 2 cards, set up a blocker, and you got 2 2Ks off that. And so you said, cool, I'm going to take 2 counterless cards and throw it right on bottom. It gives you nice, you know, control on the board. It gives you control in your hand. It's very clean. It's a 5/6. It's got counter. Very strong blocker. And the last one we got is Margaret. Margaret, just a, you know, basic blocker, but it's a blocker, and it's on play, draw a card. So it's very strong, being able to keep your hand size full in a very tight-knit format pre-releases that, you know, it's very hit or miss whether you're going to find the cards that you're looking for, whether it's going to be as optimized as possible. Anytime you can draw a card is a very precious resource in these kind of games. Now that we went through all the blockers, let me show you the other impactful cards that you might see. For one, Ain. Ain, I think, is a sleeper pick. I think it might be a little bit of a sleeper pick in Constructed as well. This could go very well into Law if the meta slows down, puts it down to 0, immediately bottom deck something. It's very strong. But it's also very strong on the attack. Whenever someone has a rested character, maybe it's a big character out that's already, you know, they already swung with the turn before. Now you get to play Ain. You get to put that down to 0. You can swing one of your trump characters into it. Maybe if you have a searcher, maybe if you have a 1-drop, you know, are you able to put that right into it? It'll almost guarantee it dead. You know, if not, then you'll get a lot of commitment out of their hand just for you to swing it down with the leader. So very good. It's very good for keeping the board. It's good for building your tempo by removing their stuff immediately and building up a board. 6k power is not very strong, especially for a 7 cost, but you're spending essentially 6 or 5 for that 6k body, and then 1 or 2 to just immediately get rid of one of your opponent's characters, which is a very strong ability in my opinion. Up next we have Dragon. Dragon is a very powerful card, and it's very good for pushing the tempo that you've already created. Not only is it an 8/9 rush, but it allows you to put 2 Dawn onto another character or your leader that you can swing with still. This allows it to basically be a 6 Dawn 9k swing if you think about it, because you play the 8 and then you get to reuse 2 of that immediately, so you're paying 6 because you're still getting that 2 Dawn usage. Or it could be an 8/11 if you want to think about it that way. Very strong, very good for rush. You can clear their board, you can go for game. It allows you to do a lot of crazy things. Don't ever underestimate a 9k swing. After that we have Bonnie. And Bonnie is a very good card. Bonnie allows you to prevent one of their characters or Dawn from restanding. Probably in a constructed format, you can kind of target the Dawn more depending on what they might play. If you're up against Pudding and they get to 10 Dawn, you could rest one of their Dawn. They can't play a Big Mom. You know, they have to adjust their plan. Similar with this, you could do that. But resting one of their characters, or keeping one of their characters rested, I should say, is such a demoralizing feature. It's like a smaller version of the 10-drop Dofi. It's very impactful. It's not going to go unnoticed. It's going to put a lot of pressure on your opponent every single time this card comes out. Fisher Tiger is another card, is a card that I was kind of talking about before with Dragon and Ain. It's good for keeping your own tempo. It was mostly in here for the multicolor Luffy ability. You would consider as Fishman or Merfolk. So this would get the ability, the secondary, the on-play ability. But honestly, being a 1k counter and having the ability to swing into characters the turn it was played already allows it to be a good enough spot to be put into the pre-releases, in my opinion. It gets elevated with the Luffy leader, but it's good either way. This one-drop Zoro also makes the cut. This is more for the Zoro-specific leader, because as you're building your board wide, once you have 3 or more characters in play, which will be fairly easy for Zoro to do, especially if you're focusing on the cheaper cards, this will allow it to just swing for 5k. It'll be a 1-5 the moment you put 1 Dawn on your leader. So it's got the 2k, a 2k buff, and then 1k on top. You don't have to put any Dawn underneath this character, and it swings for 5k for 1 Dawn. It's pretty strong. Crocodile is one of the few 2ks that I put on the list. Because although it's, you know, there's a lot of 2Ks and you want to put almost every 2K in here, this is one of the couple to look out for. What this does is it allow you to put a 2 or lower to your opponent's hand. So there's, like I said, a lot of chump blockers, a lot of 2 costs that can just get bumped up to the hand right at the end of the game. Gecko is pretty good. It's only really good if you're going to be using the Luffy leader. There's a couple leaders that you could be using as well. You could be using Croc, you could be using Boa, you could be using Dofi. And I don't really foresee those leaders doing too well in most of the tournaments. But if you're, like I said, the multicolor Luffy, this would be a nice slide-in pick for it. One that you could take the advantage of the 7 Warlords leader type for. Up next, we have Boa. Boa is going to be a very good card. This is one of the top end cards that you want to see. Not only will it freeze a card from attacking, it could also bottom deck one. The secondary effect isn't as important usually. There's not too many 1-cost blockers, if any, I think, in this set. But the first effect of it, preventing a character from swinging, takes a lot of tempo away from them, and you can really thrive when you take the tempo away from your opponent. Up next, we have Big Pan. I'm surprised to be seeing Foxy Pirates on this list myself. But surprisingly, Foxy Pirates seem like they're going to be pretty good in pre-release format. The caveat to that is you need to have a little bit of a minus Dawn ability. Once you get 1 or 2 cards that you can, minus the Dawn and get on equal footing with your opponent, then all of the effects go live. You start pushing way far ahead with all of your effects. The Searcher itself, I'll do the Foxy Pirates as a whole as of right now, actually. The Searcher already has a -1, so you're able to do that. Search for 1, play 1, you go 2 for 1, which is already really good. And you don't need to be a Foxy leader, which is the best part about this. You can still play it in Zoro, you can still play it in Kid or Bonnie, and you still have a heavy advantage. So the Searcher -1 finds your Searcher and can play 1. Big Pan, if you have equal or less Dawn, you can play a 4-cost from your hand. So you don't even need to play the Porsche. You can get to 6 Dawn if you've already -1 Dawn. You're even. You play Big Pan, and from that you can play Porsche, and then from Porsche you can search and find another card. You go 3 bodies wide in 1 single turn for 6 Dawn. It's pretty brutal, and that's going to be a very big swing in your pre-releases if you can get that to go off. Foxy is also pretty strong. It not only does it ramp you, which you're minusing Dawn, so ramping it back kind of helps, it minuses 1k power from all your opponent's characters. So all of their characters have minus 1000 power. So if you're playing against a Zoro, their leader is off. They have to use their leader ability just to go even with what Foxy's doing, on just sitting on the board doing absolutely nothing. The Foxy Pirates as a whole are pretty annoying to deal with, and that's what's really strong in pre-releases. Just having that ability to not let your opponent play optimally sets you so far apart just to begin with. Moving on, we have Stussy. I would say Stussy is fringe because you may not have very many searchers or chump cards, any 1 or 2s that you may have still on the board at this point, and may not have any targets that you want to hit with this. It's very linear with its design, you know, kill one of yours, kill one of theirs. It's very strong in that aspect, but it may not be too crucial down at 9 Dawn because it may be getting close to the end of the game, especially if you're, you know, there's Kid leaders and Zoro leaders, like these strong leaders that are going to be putting a lot of pressure on. 9 Dawn to kill one character might be too much of an overkill this late in the game, but if you end up with a slower deck, a couple more, you know, chump blockers, you know, a little bit more way to survive, you have a couple extra lives, you could drop this down safely, 100% do it. It's a very strong card if you can get it down safely. Up next, we have Morgans. Morgans, I think, is going to be underrated in pre-releases. Imagine you're going second. You get to draw your card onto Dawn. You got nothing else to do. You play Morgans for nothing but the fact that you get to look at your opponent's hand. That is so good. Having the hand knowledge on your opponent is very good in any card game. They cycle one card, but you get to see which card they want to ditch, and you don't see what card they draw, but you get to see 4 or 5 cards from their hand right off the bat. Very good. Hand knowledge is very strong, like I said, in any game. Up next, we have Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci will return 3 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck, which isn't super crucial in pre-releases. You're not really playing Rebecca Lucci combos. You're just not really playing from the trash. There's no Gecko Morias to yoink stuff from the trash. So it's fine removing stuff from your trash, putting it into your deck. But then the good part happens. You get to your opponent gets to discard a card from their hand, and then, you know, take one from their trash, put it in their deck. But, you know, that part's fine. But they go negative on a card in their hand. Not only are the black cards allowing you to see the cards in their hand, they're allowing you to play your on curve 5/6 with counter and ditch a card from their hand. That's really strong. Very strong in pre-releases. You can even swing at 6k. You don't even need to swing 7k all the time because there's not many 2ks in pre-releases. And you get to kind of gauge out their hand, whether they want to take 6 or they want to take 7. This is one of my favorite cards of the set so far, pre-releases. And I would strive for this a lot. Up next, another major powerhouse card, and that's Sabo. Sabo's going to KO a 5 and a 3 for ditching one card for 8. So Stussy, you know, you KO'd one of yours and you KO one of theirs. This, you KO 2 cards. If you play this on 8, odds are your opponent's going to have a 5 and a 3 on the board, unless you've dealt with them already. You are going to be in a very positive situation if you're able to get this off, clear 5. If they play Lucci, you know, they make you discard a card. They get to swing with it maybe once, and then boom, Sabo clears that, and maybe their blocker that they had, or maybe their Foxy Pirates that they have. There's a lot of good targets that this could hit. 100% if you pull it, you should play it 10 times out of 10. Now onto the yellow cards, we have Frankie to start us off. I didn't put a lot of the Vegapunks on here. The Vegapunk characters, all in yellow right now, are not great for normal pre-releases. It's good for the Luffy pre-releases, especially the ones with good triggers like Luffy, Nami, Shaka. A lot of those Vegapunk characters are really good with this because they say if your leader is Vegapunk, play this card, do this effect, draw 2 cards, Nico Robin. Frankie's the only one that's universally really good. It's a 2k counter, 4/5, which is fine. You know, you're not most likely not going to play it for that. But the trigger is draw one card. Then if you have one or less life, play this card, which is the very, very strong part of the card. You get to not only draw the card, replace it in your hand, but you also get a 4/5 on board, which is very good. Lushi. Lushi is another good card. They're all good cards, but my god, Lushi. When attacking once per turn, you may put the top or bottom card of your life pile in your hand. Rest up to one of your opponent's 4 or less cards. Then if your life is 1 or less, place the top card of your life into your life. Top card of your deck into your life. Let me break that down. You get this to stick 1 turn, which, you know, it's pre-release. It'll probably stick. You get to swing for free, a 7k swing, no Dawn investment. You get to rest a card. You get to put a card from your life into your hand, so you go negative on life, and then you get to take the top life and put it on top. So you're basically drawing a card, resting a card, and swinging 7 for free. And now the final character card and last secret, Ace. Ace is just absolutely insane. I think we could all agree on that. It's a 10/10 rush and heal card. Obviously, you're not going to play this if you have 3 life. You know, it's just a heal at that point. But if you get 1 life, you bounce up to 2, and you get a 10k swing. Really good. 100%. It's a no-brainer. Now that we went through all the character cards, let's go through some of the event cards. There were a few event cards that, you know, didn't really stand out too much. But there were a couple that stood out a little bit more than others. And the first one is the Noro Beam. Back when I was talking about the Foxy Pirates, you just wanted Dawn minus once. That's really all you need. And with this Noro Beam, it allows you to do that. You pay 1 and Dawn minus 1. And not only do you give your opponent's leader and characters, you go minus 2,000 and minus 2,000. So they got 2 characters swing. You use this on the first. Prevent both swings. They may not even swing with the other character. You don't even have to think about ditching a card. All for 1 Dawn, and it sets you up for all your Foxy Pirate stuff that you want to do. It's going to be an underrated card, I believe. The Noro Beam Sword is next. It costs 2, and it gives you a plus 2,000, so not as powerful, but it also rests a character. So if you're not playing Bonnie and really wishing you did play Bonnie, this is the alternative. You get your plus 1,000, but then you also prevent a whole swing from happening. You get to rest it, and then you get to possibly lock it down the next turn with Bonnie. You have options to do with whatever you wish. You can swing into it. You can try and kill it. You just maybe prevent yourself from being killed. This takes away a whole swing from you, so it does get pretty good. It's like a slightly worse Punk Gibson, but it's Foxy Pirates. It could get searched. And it minuses Dawn that gets you on curve with all your Foxy stuff and all your effects. So it has its slot. It's not, like I said, not all of the events are extremely good this set, but this is one of the better ones because of what it enables you to do with the Dawn minus 1. On to the next one, the last one I would actually use for counter. This one is the Please Save Me. If you have 2 or less life, give up to one of your leaders or characters plus 3,000. So it's something that you would use towards the end of the game, kind of like how you'd hold a Rad Beam towards the end. But it's Yellow's version of it, and it just goes to like a guard point. It's just plus 3,000, which is still very good. In a format where it's going to be tough to get 2,000, 3,000 is very good. So when they finally start swinging 7,000, 7,000, 7,000 at you, you could protect up to 8,000 at least one of those swings. Very strong for that. And finally, the last card I recommend for your pre-releases to become your master is this Flame Split. And I would use this not as an attack, not as a counter card, but only as a main. You give up to one of your characters or leader plus 1,000 for the turn. So the 1 Dawn that you go to tap is already just getting essentially used onto something else. And after, if your opponent has 2 or less life, which is when you would want to use it to try and kill them, rest up to one of their 4 costs or lower. So you get to rest their blocker essentially for free. The 2 million volts Amaru is a very good card because it allows you to rest and, you know, rest a character like Borsellino or a blocker and go for game. This does the exact same thing, and it's just equally as efficient. It doesn't get you the extra 1,000, but it's when your opponent's at 2 or less life rather than you being at 2 or less life. So it makes you, or 1 or less life. So it makes you need to be going for game with it, and it's very, very strong for that. So there you have it. The secret's out of the bag, and now you know how you can become a pre-release master. Don't forget to like the video, comment down below what card you're looking forward to the most in this upcoming set, and please subscribe. My family needs it. There's no bread on the table. I need subscribers. Oh wait, that's not my family. Oh, you can still subscribe anyway. Have a great time. Good luck in your pre-releases. Go find the One Piece.